Hi friends, welcome to my grand library for the best weapon enchantments video. I'm your host, the Obsidian Noob, and in today's fast-paced video we're not just going to talk about the best enchantments to have, but we're also going to talk about how you actually use them. So if you're new here, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and of course use the timestamps below to help you navigate this video. So let's start off on the journey then with the first room on our tour, which is going to be for ranged weapons. We're going to take a little look at the best enchantments to have on your ranged weapons and of course what they actually do. So let's start off with the bow then. So as the camera pans around, you can see I've put everything out nice and clear for you, and I think before we even get started I'll just say off the bat, Unbreaking 3 is a must for every item that you enchant, because you're definitely going to want the additional durability after all that hard-earned experience that you're going to spend. But we're going to take a quick look in a moment at power and punch and flame and then infinity or mending. But let's jump over now into this area here. This is my training area, and we're just going to talk a little bit about the bow then before we move over. So with a bow you can pull back your trigger, and on a full charge like this you can kill a zombie in about 3 arrows. Now as I mentioned before, Unbreaking you kind of need to have on everything. I wouldn't waste the experience only to see your item get completely damaged and broken in no time at all. So let's look at the and section, and I called this and because you can stack these different enchantments, and we're going to start off with bow power 5. Now you see there it only took 1 arrow compared to the 3 we had previously to kill that zombie. And next we'll look at punch, which again is very useful. This adds a knockback effect so that you can knock your mobs away from you if they are rushing you. But notice how this isn't killing the zombie in just 1 arrow because it hasn't got the power added to it. And then finally let's go over and we'll just look at this one here, which is going to be flame. So flame is different to the others. This one adds a fire damage effect, so you can see that although the one on the left took a little bit because of the sunlight, the one on the right was on fire as soon as the arrow hit it. So then we're going to talk about the ore section. So you've got the 3 that you can stack, and then you're either going to want infinity or mending. So let's start with infinity first. Now infinity is really cool because if we get rid of all of our arrows and we just leave 1 arrow, it basically means that we can just keep shooting and we don't need to worry about the amount of arrows we have. So even when the mob's dead and we continue on firing, you can see although it is still using the durability, we can just keep firing off of that single arrow. Now mending on the other hand is really useful as well, because with this one, as you can see, as we fire and we shoot these mobs here, we'll just take these zombies out, you can see we're taking the durability damage on the bow, which obviously isn't great because you want your enchantments to last as long as you can, but mending has that benefit that when you go, now if you watch the XP bar doesn't immediately go up because those experience points went to mending the bow. And you see, this is where you've now got a really difficult situation. Do you want to have infinite amounts of arrows, or would you rather have a bow that mends itself? That's kind of your call, really. So let's move on and talk about crossbow enchantments real quick. Now I'm not a massive fan of the crossbow, but having done this video there are actually quite some good features. We're going to talk a little bit about the multi-shot enchantment. We're not going to cover Unbreaking because we've spoken about that, but we will talk about quick charge, and again we've covered mending so we won't do that again. So let's go back to the shooting range then. So with the crossbow itself, you can see here that you can draw, I mean I'm using a controller to do this, so left trigger I can draw the thing back all the way, and then it's my left trigger again to fire that, and you can see 3 arrows, very similar to the bow, puts down 1 zombie. And again the given is that you're going to want Unbreaking 3 so that it doesn't break immediately. But let's take a look at the other 2 that we were talking about, because you can stack these 2. So you can stack quick charge, which you can see, look how quick this now reloads ready to go. So that's quite nice. That saves a lot of time reloading, especially in a fight when you've got mobs that are trying to come at you. And then the next one here is multi-shot. Now this is really cool. So when you pull this back and you press your fire button, it then fires out 3 arrows. But if you look in the bottom right corner where we've got 7 and now we've got 6, although it's doing 3 shots, it's only charging us 1 arrow. In fact, let me show you against this wall just so you can see exactly what it looks like. There we go, and there's one going out the door as well. So that's what multi-shot does, and that's really quite cool as well. So let's put that one back. Now, of course, the best thing with your enchantments is stacking everything. So we've got Unbreaking 3, multi-shot, we've also got the quick charge, and we've got the mending, and that you can see that this is actually quite a beast of a crossbow. So I kind of take back everything that I said about not using crossbows, because actually this could be pretty epic in future. Okay, so let's move on, and we'll stick with partly the theme of ranged weapons, but we'll also add some melee in that and talk a bit about the underrated Trident. Now, I think Tridents are actually really quite cool. They're quite hard to get, and the enchantments are quite hard to get, but they do so much damage when used really efficiently. Now, there are some that I'm not going to cover here, but we'll just go through the ones that I am going to cover. And the first, there's a mistake in the video, Impaling. It actually goes up to 5, but we'll cover what Impaling does. We're not going to talk about Unbreaking or Mending, but I will show you what Loyalty does and also Channeling as well. So these are really quite cool. So let's dash back over to the shooting range and we'll get into these. So the first one is just what the Trident does. So you do have the option to throw your Trident and then go and pick it up and then throw it again, or you can running and you can just melee with it as well. So it makes it quite a versatile and durable weapon. But onto the enchantments then, let's talk about Impaling. Now, Impaling does absolutely nothing on land unless on Java you're fighting an aquatic mob, such as a drowned that's come out the water, or if you're on Bedrock, then it needs to be mobs in the water for it to do more damage. Loyalty, on the other hand, is really cool, because you might have been thinking, well, what's the point of having a weapon you've got to continually go and retrieve? Well, Loyalty brings it right back to you after you throw it, so that's really clever. Now, Channeling, again, it doesn't seem to really do anything until you get outside and it's dark and it's raining. Now watch this. How cool is that? So, I mean, you're going to have to make a decision about whether or not you're going to fight aquatic mobs and whether it's useful to you. But if you stack everything just like I've done here, that is one mighty powerful weapon. So yeah, Trident's massively underrated, but still very powerful. Now, moving on in our tour back over in the Grand Library, let's talk about sword enchantments. And the first one I want to cover is a very specific enchantment just for Java players. So this one is for you, and this is called Sweeping Edge. So when you get run over by a whole train like this of zombies, and you're just trying to sort of kill as many as you can, and it's not going particularly well, you're soon going to end up dead. However, if you use the Sweeping Edge enchantment, what this allows you to do is hit multiple mobs all at the same time. So you can see here, rather than just hitting one, we were hitting all three at one point. So that's nice and quick and simple what Sweeping Edge does. So we'll head back over to the firing range in just a moment, but what we're going to look at is Sharpness and Knockback, which are the next two enchantments you're going to want. We're also going to take a look at Looting and one called Fire Aspect. We won't cover Unbreaking or Mending, although those do need to go on your ultimate sword as well. So let's get straight over and have a look at these enchantments. So the first one then is Sharpness, and it does what it says on the tin really. It makes your sword a lot sharper and it does more damage. So there it took a few hits to get the zombie down, and this one it's a lot quicker, only 2 hits to kill him. Let's move on to Knockback. This again really is self-explanatory, just a bit like Punch, but instead of it being for a bow, it's actually for the sword. As you hit the zombie, he bounces back. Now, to demonstrate looting, I wanted to show this on the cow. So when you kill a cow with a normal weapon or something like that, you can see there I got 1 piece of beef. But if we use Looting 3 and we kill the cow again, you can see that actually we get a considerable amount more loot. And that is exactly what that enchantment will do. So make sure you use that when you're fighting some mobs and you'll get more loot as well. Now, Fire Aspect is one of my favourites in the whole game. Whenever you hit a mob, you essentially just set them on fire. So not only do they take the weapon damage, but they also take all of the fire damage. And here's a hidden bonus as well if you didn't know this. If you have Fire Aspect and you hit a non-hostile mob, something that you get food from, it actually even cooks the food for you. So you can see we've got cooked pork chop and we've got the cooked steaks as well. So that is going to be really helpful out in survival. So of course, like everything, if you stack all of these together, it makes you a pretty godly weapon that is going to be really, really epic and quite overpowered, but definitely something that you want to be doing. And of course, with the mending, we repair all of that durability damage. Now moving on into our final room, we're going to talk about Mace Enchantments. Now the Mace was a new weapon that came in the 1.21 update with the Trial Chambers content, and this comes with some really unique enchantments that aren't available for other weapons. We're going to take a look at Breach, we're also going to have a look at Wind Burst, and we're going to look at Density as well. I would recommend combining your enchantments again with Mending, Fire Aspect and Unbreaking. They do exactly the same as the other weapons, so we won't cover them, but that will give you something really powerful. Now the mace itself, we're going to use this armored zombie to use as our test subject. So this is going to take 6 hits to take down a fully gold armored zombie. But if we use Breach, Breach ignores part of the armor that a mob is wearing. So rather than 6 hits, it actually only took us 3. Now Density on the other hand works that the more you fall, the more damage is applied to the strike that you land on a mob. So I probably could have picked a better fence to use rather than a nether brick one which takes forever to break, but let me demonstrate that to you. So if we equip the mace with Density, and then you get that lovely clang and that zombie is dead in just 1 hit. Now unfortunately the bad news is that Breach and Density are incompatible with one another, so you have to decide which one of those will be most useful. But Wind Burst is really cool. It basically sends you up into the air if you hit from above, only yeah, that happens if you aren't prepared. So if you go ahead and stack all of your enchantments and then you get yourself a water bucket ready, then when you've killed your mob, you can water clutch to save yourself, but that will take some practice. But that is an awesome weapon. So there you have it, all of the best enchantments in my opinion for all of the different weapon types. Now there are lots of different variations and differing opinions, so try them out, see what works for you, and if you did find this video useful today, be sure to smash that like button to help me grow and subscribe to the world of the Obsidian Noob, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks so much for watching.